Okay, welcome back. If the lighting looks different, it's because I've had so many problems with software tonight that it's actually 7:15 a.m. and we're basically just getting started. And I shut the Christmas story lamp off because the sun's coming out. So if the lighting looks different, that's because we're on natural lighting now. And anyways, in that first set, we had the Dickies, Manny Mo Jack, followed by Eva Destruction, which I think is appropriate for these days, and followed by the Misfits, Teenagers from Mars, and TV Casualty from the movie They Live, with probably the coolest. If you've never seen They Live, you should see it because Rowdy Roddy Piper stars in that. Man, he is actually a good actor in that. Better the actor in that than wrestling. So, anyways, I just sold my VHS. I think for 40, but don't quote me on it. So if you got a VHS where They Live, you might want to like go on eBay and see what they're going for, because they're worth some loot right now. Actually, all the 80s horror is here, and depending on which ones. But we're not here to discuss uh, my now departed brick and mortar store. We're here to talk about the show. So the other band in that set was Agnostic Front from New York City, and they did Old New York and My Family. Now, when I started doing I've heard from you lately that I don't talk enough on this show, and you like when I tell my story. So I'm going to tell you a story. Okay, back when I had my drive-in the '80s, I think we were in federal court or something. And anyways, I couldn't draw unemployment for some reason, so I had to go to work at a theater in Mount Clemens, Michigan called the Jewel, and it was right downtown. Well, I'd run projectors there, and it was huge, big auditorium and stuff, and I would daydream looking out that little window in the projection booth. I would daydream about, man, if you could make this into a music theater, that would be really cool. Well, years later, me and Neil are going to the guitar player from A Distant Few and I are going to a show at a place called the Emerald in Mount Clemens, and lo and behold, if it ain't the old Jewel where I used to work. And anyways, it's I can't remember what the name of the concert was, but it was a really cool lineup. The Dam, the Dickies, Agnostic Front, on and on. Okay, but the headliners was the Misfits, and it was really sad because the Misfits are cool in these clips I just showed, but when we seen them, they were the headliners, and it wasn't really the Misfits. And all these poor little kids going around with their Misfit masks on and stuff probably didn't even know the difference. But it was at one Muscle Beach, Jerry whatever, I think his name is Jerry Only or something. Muscle Beach with the pointy bangs played the bass. It was him playing the bass and singing, and then Marky Ramone on drums, and then this a kid I can only describe as he looked like a young Greg Scripjack, if you guys know who that is. He used to play with us in the early days. Um, he's a guitar player from this area. Anyways, to cut to the chase, I was watching the Dickies and I was like, man, it reminded me of that show. So that's why I added the Misfits and Agnostic Front, because they also played there that day. And the Dickies were the coolest. It was the first time I ever seen them. And I'm going to tell you, I'm going to end the story with this. Leonard, the singer, is really a laugh, okay? And he comes on stage and, it's fake, but he says, hey, Boston, and then one of the other dudes go, no. We're in Detroit, man. And Leonard says, yeah, Detroit. Yeah, Detroit. Kid Rock. I fucked him. I thought he was the funniest. And then he cracked that joke later and used Eminem. Anyhow, that's today's story. And at the beginning of the show, when I told you about the Matt Pinfield look, uh, I'll explain it all later. But when we cut back in, you'll see who Matt Pinfield was, and you also see when I talk about how this is a tribute to 120 Minutes. This next clip will explain a lot of it all. Who's Matt Pinfield and what was 120 Minutes, which this show is a tribute mainly to my friend Tom Grant, who used to host Big Pop Party on Sunday nights. We would gather at his place and socialize with him and watch at midnight on MTV 120 Minutes with Matt Pinfield. So for those of you just arriving this episode, that about sums it up. And let's get back to the show. I really blabbed enough this time. Hope you guys that liked it. Mm-hmm.